Hi class, this is Professor Harmony Kim, and this video is for lecture week 4. Today you will study cognitive process from Buddhist perspective in relation to meditation. Cognitive process implies how sensory system accept and process the stimuli. So, composition and mechanism of a sensory system is investigated. Triad, Khandha, Ayatana, Dhātus are called triad. So, Khandha, Ayatana, Dhātus instruct the cognitive scheme because arising and passing away of a triad provides information of a physical and mental relationship based on composition and functions. Let's look at the characteristic of a triad, Khandha, Ayatana, and Dhātus. Totality of the 5 Khandhas. Totality means all physical and mental phenomena of human experience. 5 Khandhas compose the living organism and manifest themselves in cognitive process. In Mahabhuta Sutta, 5 Khandhas are enumerated as Rupa for physical aggregate, Vedana for feeling, Sanya for a perception or identification, Samkhara for mental formation or mental fabrication, Vinnana for self-awareness. 5 Khandhas can be categorized into the 2, that is Nama, mental faculty or mental aspect of a 5 aggregate, and Rupa, form. And Nama Rupa appears in the Buddhist teachings throughout Digha Nikaya, Majjhima Nikaya, Samyutta Nikaya, and Dhammasangani. Rupa, as the physical aggregate of 5 Khandhas, is derived from 4 Mahabhuta. Mahabhuta is great element. And you study 4 great elements in Mahatipadopama Sutta. Rupa is derived from 4 great elements. What kind of abstract concept of each element represent? Earth element stands for solidity and extension. Water element stands for fluidity and cohesion. Fire element stands for temperature of cold and hot. Wind stands for distension and mobility. Therefore, Rupa can be interpreted in 2 types. One is sensorial aspect and materialistic aspect. Sensorial qualities are not considered properties of material entities. Each element, such as earth, water, fire, wind, you might think that those are all material. It seems to not include sensorial qualities. That is more like a Western point of view. In Buddhism, there is no dualistic concept such as mind and matter are separated. In Buddhism, sensorial aspect and materialistic aspect, they go together. They united and they manifest themselves together. There's no clear-cut two dimensions such as mind and matter are separate. That is not the point of view of Buddhism. As you see, rupa, physical aggregate, even stand for sensorial experience as well as materialistic aspect. They go together. Another member of Triad is Ayatana. Ayatana also include all physical and mental phenomena of human experience. The literal meaning of Ayatana is region, sphere, and extent, and it connotes spheres of perception or sense in general, such as sense organ, object, and their relation. The main reason that Ayatana implies another totality comes from Sava Sutta in Samyutta Nikaya. What is the all? It is the eye and visible, ear and sound, nose and scent, tongue and savor, body and tangible thing, mind and mental state. That is called the all. 12 Ayatana are divided into the two groups, Ajatikam and Bahiram. The sphere of the sense belong to the self, which account for Ajatika as internal or subject. The sphere of the sense object and bodily nutriment are the external to the self, which account for Bahira as outer or object. This table shows sense in general, sense organ, object, and their relation. You can see sense organ, ajatikam, and sense object, bahiram, and their relationship is translated as mind. So here, eye is a sense organ of sight, and it become one of 12 ayatana. Ear, nose, mouth, body, all same. And sense object, the visible object of eye, become 6 ayatana, and sound as object of ear, another ayatana. So if you count the right column, you can count 12 ayatana. And you can see Dhamma ayatana and Potabhayatana. Dhamma ayatana include water and the objects of the mind that corresponds to the physical, mental, past, present, future, real, or imaginary experience. Potabhayatana indicate earth, fire, and air from the 4 great elements for Mahabhuta. As I said, in Buddhism, the sense organ and sense object, those can be manifested, and they compose 12 ayatana, and these 12 ayatana manifest themselves in the process of cognition. So this is quite complicated. But you can think that Ayatana is more a detailed scheme than 5 Khandha. So the 5 Khandha, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Samkhara, Vinnana, these 5 Khandhas, especially for the Rupa, physical aggregate, can be analyzed in detail into 12 Ayatana. This 12 Ayatana also implies totality of cognitive process. In Abhidhamma Pitaka, 12 Ayatana is subcategorized into Ajatikam, such as the sphere of the five senses belong to the self, and Bahiram, the sphere of five senses of a sense object and bodily nutriment are external to the self. According to Abhidhamma definition, the first five Ajatikam, such as Chakayatana, Sotayatana, Gana Ayatana, Jiva Ayatana, Kaya Ayatana, and their correspondent five Bahira, such as Rupa Ayatana, Sadayatana, Gadayatana, Rasa Ayatana, constituting 10 Rupa Ayatana, which are defined as Rupa Khandha. And these sense organ and sense object interact and it become object to mind, then this Dhamma Ayatana become one of 12 Ayatana. And this Potavayatana indicate earth, fire, wind, and water from the four great elements. What is the significance of 12 Ayatana as another totality? Sue Hamilton addressed Ayatana means potentiality that determine the nature of each of the types of an individual's psychological process. Another scholar states that the circuit between organ and object that result in the sensory consciousness constitute a kind of intentional arc. So when you think about rupa, physical aggregate, for example, when you think about your body already include intention underlined. So 12 Ayatana does not simply mean the interaction between the sense and the object. There is an underlying intention upon the contact between the sense and the object. Another scholar mentioned that Sal Ayatana in Paticcasamuppada do not mean the six sense faculties themselves, rather be understood metaphorically as the six faculties. Six faculties means mental and physical capacities together, bundled. Another scholar demonstrated that Ayatana is the highest level of totality compared to 5 Khandha and 18 Dhātu, because 18 Dhātu are difficult to grasp despite all inclusiveness. Also, 5 Khandha cannot include all the Dharma, though simple and easy to grasp. Therefore, 12 Ayatana is the highest level of totality to explain all phenomena, to explain all human experience. And also, the totality of 12 Ayatana provides the basis for the Sarvastivadian doctrine, such that all exist. In Dhammasangani, the evolvement from 12 Ayatana to 18 Dhātu by adding 6 correspondent consciousness is described. This includes the process of thought, namely progression of cognition. 18 Dhātu represent externally generalized human experience. Dhātus collate the data from the 5 types of sense consciousness. In Vibhanga, one of the Buddhist texts, it states that Dhātus develops into Manoviññana Dhātu. Hopefully you remember Dhātu and Manoviññana Dhātu you studied last week. Dhātu resulted from 5 physical sense organ contact, 5 physical sensible object, respectively. And these 5 physically derived consciousness become the object to mind, mano. Then 6 kinds of Manoviññana Dhātu are produced. Provided that Mano and Manoviññana are named along the progression of cognition, both can be examined in a series of momentariness. So one step, when sense organ contact sensible object, it generates Mano Dhātu. The next step, this Mano Dhātu becomes the object of mind, Mano, then Manoviññana Dhātu is generated in the next moment. So, Mano Dhātu, Manoviññana Dhātu can be examined in a series of momentariness. If we investigate the cognitive process according to the progression of each constituent of 5 khandhas, these generate the interpretation of a cognitive process in the 2 levels. One is macro level, the other one is micro level. I mentioned that 12 Ayatana is more detailed mechanism than 5 khandhas. So, mechanism by which the 5 khandhas operate is referred to as the macro level. And Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankhara, and Vinnana, they are the parameter to explain how 5 khandhas operate for cognitive scheme. We call that macro level. Micro level of cognitive process will examine momentariness between mental and physical phenomena based on rupa. So, cognitive scheme based on the moment is referred to as the micro-level cognitive process. It includes momentariness, and micro-level is more focused on the rupa rather than the restful mental faculty such as nama. So, micro level of cognitive process will examine momentariness between mental and physical phenomena based on rupa. Let's examine the corresponding steps of cognitive processes. The analysis of a sensory process in early Buddhist text is mapped from the Madhupindika Sutta. Madhupindika Sutta in Majjhima Nikaya expounds how the unskillful habit of the mind arises by introducing the cognitive path in a way that when there is the I, when there are form, when there is I consciousness, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of contact. When there is a delineation of contact, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of feeling, Vedana. When there is a delineation of feeling, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of perception, Sanya. When there is a delineation of perception, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of thinking, Samkhara. When there is a delineation of thinking, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of being assailed by the perception and categories of objectification, kinds of Vinnana. So it starts from I, Rupa. Then it progresses to feeling, Vedana. Then progress to Sanya, perception, and progress to thinking, Samkhara, and Vinnana, perception and categories of objectification. The first paragraph is for the visual cognition, for hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching will occur same pattern, such as it starts from Rupa and progress to Vedana, feeling, progress to Sanya, perception, progress to thinking, Samkhara, then categories of objectification, Vinnana. This pattern will occur for other sensible cognition. And this is for mind. When there is the intellect, when there are ideas, when there is intellect consciousness, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of a contact. When there is a delineation of a contact, it is possible that one will delineate a delineation of a feeling. This is for, again, but this time, mind is sense organ and sense object is idea. Then, intellect consciousness, Manodhatu, can arise. This Manodhatu progress to Vedana, Sanya, Samkhara, and Manoviññana Dhātu, objectification. So, the pattern of a cognitive scheme, you might find some progress occur in the five Khandhas. Here is five Khandhas, Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Samkhara, and this is from Madhupindika Sutta, Masatipadana Sutta, Abhidhamma, and Chachaka Sutta. When you read all these sutras, you can have some common scheme for cognition. It starts from sense organ and sense object, contact, and it progresses to Vedana, Sanya, Samkhara. In Mahasatipadana Sutta, also Chakku Vinnana, eye consciousness, progress to feeling, perception, volition, craving, all these belong to Samkhara, mental fabrication, mental faultiness. And Abhidhamma, also sense, and sense progress to receive in feeling, such as pleasant feeling, unpleasant feeling, or neutral, and it progress to examination so that you can identify the object and further go to Samkhara so that you can register sense object in your memory. Chachaka Sutta also, it starts from sense organ, contact, sensible object, and it generates feeling and it directly go to Samkhara. In my early talk, the five Khandhas can be categorized into Nama and Rupa. Rice Dave addressed that five Khandhas are formed by later insertion from body and Vinnana. Then, how it become five Khandhas? Why the two entities, Nama and Rupa, develop into five rather than 3, 4, or 6, or 7? Rice Davis mentioned that 5 comprehensive units in Indian thought are derived from the formation of the human hand. You have 5 fingers. However, I like to look into the development of 5 khandha in a different angle. So I propose the increment might relate to meditation. If so, what kind of characteristics of 5 khandha can explain the content of meditation? I investigate the meaning of each constituent of 5 khandha in the context of meditation, especially nama, that is, mental faculty, first. Vedana, one of mental faculty, which is translated in feeling. Vedana you can find in Chachaka Sutta, Satipatthana Sutta, and Vedana Samyutta. Chachaka Sutta says 6 kinds of feeling according to 6 sensory system. Satipatthana Sutta introduces 3 kinds of feeling: pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. Vedana Samyutta explains 108 kinds of feelings from individuals' mental status. Vedana is involved in the process than a mere sensory event. Vedana explore into sanya. Sometimes Vedana can explore into tanya, such as craving, kinds of unwholesome mental faculty. Vedana is a landmark of a mental aspect of cognition and the level of meditation. When we reflect Vedana in the context of meditation, happy feeling arises in the course of meditative practice, and first jhana up to third jhana, Vedana arises as happy feeling. This happy feeling is different from lust. And when practitioners reach to the fourth jhana, then neutral feeling arises. This neutral feeling is one of 3 feelings under Vedana. How sanya act in the context of meditation? Sanya is different in the extent of discrimination. Sanya is more detailed discrimination. For example, the child has only a notion of the coin, but child does not know of its worth. The villager has understanding Vinnana, so the adult knows if he gets the right change for purchase. So sanya is just what? Notion. Identificatory role. For example, the mental act of apprehending cup to be a case of cup. When you identify object based on sign, mark, shape, or signal. At the time you are using sanya. When you go back in your childhood, you do not know the name of a cup, but you educated to call the cup by your parents or school teacher, so that you became to know some structure or shape to hold water. Then you start to call that cup. At the time you are using sanya. So sanya is an abstract idea regardless of a sensory experience, which is resulted from the meditation attainment. When practitioner engage in meditation, the practitioner can be free to move into other realm. And in Apanaka Sutta, there's expression such as gods of immaterial realm who consist of sanya. So in immaterial realm, most living beings consist of sanya. Also in Samyutta Nikaya, meditative levels of the Rupa jhana are related to sanya. Samkara is related to morality. Samkara influences on goodness or badness, which further influence the following condition, even the next life. You can find this information from Kukuravatika Sutta. In Sonadanda Sutta, wisdom is purified by morality and vice versa. Morality implies samkara. Complementary relationships between Sila and Panya from Vedic and Upanishadic origin. So Sila is study of karma, Panya is study of knowledge. And this Sila and Panya, they purify each other. So Sila means ethics of intention, equal to good karma, equal to good intention, equal to purification of mind, spiritual progress, and progress toward nirvana by way of meditation. For successful meditation, morality is required, and this morality can be built by samkara. Vinnana. The significance of Vinnana is described when this body is bereft of consciousness, vitality, and heat, it left lying senselessness like a log. So Vinnana is one of major components to maintain life. For living being, consciousness, vitality, and heat are necessarily required. And this consciousness is called Vinnana. 4 kinds of Khandha can be represented by Vinnana, and their characteristics can be changed by degree of the meditation attainment in a company with different name. So Vinnana represented it in the sensuous and fine material plane, but this Vinnana, this mental faculty, can be called sanya in immaterial plane. So sanya, samkara, vinnana, they are under mental faculty, nama, but in different realms such as sensuous realm, fine material realm, and immaterial realm. These mental faculties represent differently. So in sensuous and fine material plane, vinnana is represented, whereas in immaterial plane, there's no samkara, rather sanya is represented more than vinnana. So in some sense, different terms can be engaged to describe its qualitative aspect as mental status is transformed. So Vedana is certain meaning based on meditation. It appears first up to 3rd jhana as a happy feeling. In 4th jhana, it appears as neutral feeling. Sanya is represented in the immaterial plane, immaterial realm. meditative level of the Rupa jhana are expressed by sanya. Samkhara is related to the morality, sila, and morality is required for meditation attainment because wisdom is purified by morality. Vinnana is spiritual progress of mental quality from moment to moment. Vinnana is closely related to the meditation state of mind. So far, you study the mental faculty of the 5 khandhas are related to meditative states. 5 khandhas can be interpreted by connecting the cognitive states in relation to meditation. In general, there are 2 kinds of meditation from the early Buddhism, that is, samatha meditation and vipassana meditation. Samatha meditation develops peaceful mind first, so nama aspect of human experience is focused, because emotional aspect of human mind can transform into tranquility. Vipassana meditation develops insight, so rupa aspect of 5 khandha is focused in relation to momentariness. Samatha meditation results in abandoning for craving, and vipassana meditation results in abandoning for ignorance. Samatha and vipassana lead to comprehending the 3 seals. 3 seals means anicca, impermanence, anatta, no self, dukkha, suffering. Routine mode of cognitive process can occur in a sequence of rupa to vedana to sanya, samkhara to vinnana, which recognize surrounding phenomena in a general mode. This routine mode of cognitive process on a daily basis deepens into the building of a habit. A certain pattern of mental process underlies individual personality. So depending on what kind of a mode of cognitive process, it determines your personality. If you want to change someone's character, it requires a great effort to change the habitual tendency. Our cognitive scheme operates rapidly and by default. Thus, people find themselves in the stream of built-in thought process. You might think about yourself, how you react and behave to external stimuli. Everybody has a different pattern. But in general, most people use this routine mode of cognitive process. Let's look at Metta Sutta, for example. Loving kindness discourse was spoken by the Buddha himself. The Metta Sutta is one instance exemplifying samatha meditation, by which the practitioner can surmount of 5 hindrances. Metta Sutra explains systematic approach of sequential access of object projecting the thought of loving kindness. It starts with myself, visualize with a happy mind, and conceptualize that may I be free from hostility, free from affliction, free from distress, may I live happily. Mind is inspired with the same degree of matter equally to everyone. Then replacing the object with revealed person, then with neutral person, then hostile person. At that stage of practice, mind is inspired with the same degree of matter, loving kindness equally to everyone. Practicing loving kindness meditation is not limited to personal level, but extend to impersonal mode. So projecting the object of loving kindness meditation from family to neighbor to country to all continent, even extending loving kindness from human to all beings, even insect, bug, radiating 10 directions. 11 advantages followed by loving kindness meditation. Sleep and wake in comfort, no evil dream, dare to human and non-human beings, deities guard him, practitioner's mind easily concentrated, fire, poison, weapon do not affect him, serene face expression, die unconfused, achieving arhanship. So there are very good results come out of the loving kindness practice. How metta meditation, loving kindness practice modulate the cognitive process. Mental activities such as conceptualizing happy self, replacing the subject, creating happy mental state for oneself and others, this corresponding the stage of Vinnana and Samkhara with volitional effort, cultivating morality. When loving kindness meditation leads the practitioners to go beyond discrimination upon people, meditation attainment is identified by sanya. The practice reaches further the state equivalent to the pleasant or neutral mode of Vedana. The degree of meditation goes deeper at the stage of Rupa. What is the rationale behind the alteration of cognitive progress by way of loving kindness practice? Provided that ordinary cognitive process progresses from Vedana to Sanya to Samkhara, the more unwholesome cognitive characters closely account for the 5 hindrances. In other words, the 5 hindrances are sloth and torpor, doubt, ill will, distraction, desire, which can be categorized under Samkhara. The 5 hindrances inhibit successful meditation attainment. So, distracted and negative mental activities need to be removed and shorten the cognitive process by concentrating on meditation subject. In Mahabhuta Sutta, there is a description of a meditative state as a bhikkhu whose faculties are clear and cessation of Vedana and Sanya. Therefore, it can be regarded that cognitive process is truncated and restricted the scope of a thought process from Samkhara to Sanya, then to Vedana. In the course of meditation practice, the alteration of cognitive process is in opposing order to the ordinary cognitive process by shortening procedure of cognitive stream. When ordinary cognitive process moves from rupa to vedana to sanya to samkhara to vinnana, the practitioner tries to cut off this moving forward, therefore shortening the cognitive stream from rupa, vedana, sanya to samkhara, or from rupa to vedana to sanya, or from rupa to vedana, or only rupa. Mahabhuta Sutta explains the cessation of Vedana and Sanya and Samkhara in meditation state. Metta meditation, loving kindness meditation conceptualize happy self corresponding to the stage of Vinnana and Samkhara. The practice reaches to the state of fulfilled loving kindness, equivalent to the pleasant or neutral mode of Vedana. Buddhist meditation modulates a routine thought process in a retrospective mode, as you see in this box below, so that meditation removes the distracted mental activities and shortens the cognitive process by concentrating on certain meditative subject. Cognitive process at micro level examine idea of momentariness between mental and physical phenomena. There are strong arguments among the Buddhist schools with respect to the interpreting the idea of momentariness. This results from the fact that the Buddha does not explicitly declare how brief the duration of impermanence would be. Moreover, there is no statement in Sutta Pitaka regarding the quantitative relation of duration between the mental and material phenomena. In Abhidhamma Sangaha, the idea of momentariness is demonstrated in the context of thought process. In Abhidhammata Sangaha, 17 moments of thought process composed of 14 stages of cognitive process. This time, I briefly introduce 17 moments of thought process for 14 stages of cognitive process. Studying cognitive process at micro level is complicated, and you might study this topic later when we have more free time. So, you study today based on the 5 Khandhas. Overall cognitive process is aligned with several sutras, and it shows similar mode with one another. And I introduce Mahabhuta Sutra, Chachaka Sutra, Mahasatipatthana Sutra, and Abhidhammatta Sangaha. Five Khandhas is interpreted in relation to meditation, and transformation of ordinary cognitive process can take place by way of meditation. Investigating specific characteristics of each component of the five khandhas can support the validity of this interpretation on the meditation. In the context of meditation, the sequence of cognitive process in five khandhas is in reverse order, resulting in shortened cognitive stream. Modification of a cognitive process through meditation shows a certain pattern of a sequential order opposite to ordinary cognitive process. So when you look at this table, ordinary state, cognitive progress start from rupa to vedana to sanya to samkara to vinnana. But when practitioners engage in meditation, they cut off this routine mode of cognitive process, cut off vinnana, cut off samkara, cut off sanya, cut off vedana, therefore shorten the cognitive process. Each component of five khandhas can function between mundane and supramundane dimensions. The two dimensions are linked coterminously. So when you engage in meditation, you might follow this bottom row. But when you emerge from meditation, then you might follow ordinary state of cognitive stream, because mundane and supramundane two dimensions are linked coterminously. Human experience at the mundane level is linked to supramundane level by skillful means of meditation. If there are three kinds of Vedana, which of the following is not representing Vedana? I already introduced three kinds of Vedana. Among the five khandha, to which khandha are you applying when you identify cup as cup, dog as dog? In English, it can be translated into a perception. What is the sequence of the ordinary cognitive state in the five khandha? Ordinary cognitive state. It starts from rupa to what is next. You can find the answer easily. Okay, so you have to submit the answer of three quiz questions to my email. This is routine mode of submitting your assignment. So always, this is my email address. Include your email address and week 4 in subject title. And please write down your last name, comma, followed by first name. And write down your quiz answers. And the due of this assignment is this coming Sunday midnight. This is the end of today's lecture. Thank you.